My crew, my gang, my posse, what is going on? Six Pack Shortcuts, it's Thomas Delauer here to bring some science to the table when it comes to intermittent fasting. My last video that I did for you guys, I had a lot of questions come in surrounding the timing of workouts and the fasting window. Now I'm gonna break this all down in some science and you're gonna be blown away, I can guarantee it. In short, let me tell you the overall big picture. You want to train in your fasting window, not in your feeding window. So it comes down to the sympathetic nervous system. You see, that's the fight or flight nervous system. When you're in a fasted state, you're in your sympathetic nervous system to begin with. You're in that fight or flight mode simply because, well, as far as your body's concerned, you're kind of starving. So it wants you to focus. So it's getting you focused on finding food, meaning fight or flight mode. Then, when you're doing high intensity workouts, you're also triggering the sympathetic nervous system. That SNS totally triggers lipolysis and fat oxidation, meaning the mobilization of fats and the burning of fats. So when we can double whammy those, we get a huge impact. Now also, when you're fasting, you have a big increase in human growth hormone. So you have this huge benefit, human growth hormone plus fatty acid oxidation plus sympathetic nervous system. It's totally a double whammy, but let's add insult to injury and make it a triple whammy. When you are fasting, you also have an increase in cellular activity. You have the maximized effect of what is called cyclic AMP. What cyclic AMP is a messenger, a secondary messenger. So when you produce a lot of epinephrine or norepinephrine, which is kind of like what amps you up and gets you going, sort of adrenaline, right? Well, you need a messenger to get that into the cell and to communicate it properly. Well, that's where cyclic AMP comes in. And fasting increases the efficiency of cyclic AMP. But fasting also increases the efficiency of something else, something called AMP kinase, AMP kinase. And what AMP kinase does is actually regulates and disperses energy throughout the cells. So you don't have just kind of a wild angle of cells acting crazy over here and ones that aren't acting crazy over here. It makes it so it's nice and even keeled. What does this do? It does help stimulate fat burning. Okay, so now that I've given you the big picture with the HGH, the SNS, and all that stuff, let me break it down into cardio versus weight training in your fasting window. And this is very important, so please hear me out on this because this will make a difference between you feeling great and burning fat and building muscle in your fasting window or feeling flat, deflated, and potentially backfiring and gaining weight. So listen very carefully. When you are in your fasted state, cardio becomes very, very effective. You see, there have been studies that have proven that when you're in a fasted state, you have much more lipid oxidation, you have actual beta oxidation where your body is utilizing fats for fuel 2 to 3 times more than it ordinarily would, but you also have some other interesting things that happen as well. You have a baseline level of insulin at this point in time. You see, when your insulin levels are elevated, cardio doesn't do its job as much. But when you have low levels of insulin and they're at a baseline, you can control the fat burning a heck of a lot more. But here's the thing that's really fascinating. You want to make sure you do your cardio in as deep of a fasted state as you possibly can. There is a study that was done by the Department of Intensive Care at Aarhus University in Denmark. And this study is crazy. It found that when you are fasted, you have more blood flow going to your abdominal region, which results in more belly fat reduction. You see, burning fat by doing fasted cardio is all fine and dandy. Lipid oxidation, beta oxidation, great. But when we consolidate the blood to the abdomen, well then the fasted cardio effects take place in the abdomen. So those that tell you that you can't spot reduce or site reduce body fat probably haven't dove into the research as much as I have. Pretty amazing stuff. But now let's talk about the weight training side of things, because this is the one that scares most people. I don't want to weight train when I'm fasted because I might burn up my muscle, or it seems counterproductive because cortisol levels go up. Not the truth. Let me explain it. It comes back down to that catalyst of human growth hormone. You see, if you fast for a 12 to 24 hour window, you have a big increase in human growth hormone. That human growth hormone is a catalyst for everything else. If you have more HGH, then the workouts are more effective. And the diet is more effective. The supplements are more effective. And there's a lot of studies to back that up. There was one study by the Intermountain Medical Center's Heart Institute. And what they found was that those that fasted for close to 20 to 24 hours saw a huge increase in HGH. Men saw a 2,000% increase in HGH by being fasted. Women saw a 1,300% increase in HGH by being fasted. That is out of this world. Okay, then we couple that with this. When you weight train, you have huge levels of lactic acid that elevate. Okay, that burn, that stress, that burning painful feeling you feel when you work out, that is lactic acid building up. You don't get that when you do cardio because it's a whole different mechanism. It's not high intensity enough. But when you're working out and you're lifting weights, that lactic acid also increases human growth hormone. So now you have human growth hormone that is increased because you are weight training, coupled with human growth hormone that is multiplied by 1,300 to 2,000 times because you're fasted. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see how much of an increase that is in human growth hormone. Then, of course, you couple that with everything that I talked about earlier, combining the sympathetic nervous system, you've got this huge smorgasbord of success when it comes to body fat reduction, particularly belly fat reduction. But then when it comes down to timing of your workout specifically, we know that doing it in your fasted window is great, but when in your fasting window? Well, the cool thing is the effects of the sympathetic nervous system stay in place for a few hours after you're done working out. So I talk to a lot of people that say, well, I like to do my workout towards the end of my fasting window so that I can break my fast with a post-workout meal. Well, that's fine. It's not hurting anything and it's still okay. But in my opinion, you kind of negate the effects of the fast because you have the ability to quote unquote ride the wave, okay? You can burn additional fat, you can oxidize more fatty acids, and you can have more growth hormone that continues to skyrocket after your workout for a few hours. So my recommendation would be to do your workout a few hours before you actually break your fast. Ideally, even do it in the morning and break your fast in the evening. Me personally, I train in the morning, totally fasted, then I'll continue to fast throughout the course of the day and break my fast in the evening time. Because at the end of the day, the whole post-workout, pre-workout thing doesn't really matter. As long as you're getting a lot of nutrients in and you're taking advantage of the proper times here and there, you're gonna feel good. So as always, keep it locked in here with my videos on six-pack shortcuts. We are bringing you a lot more science here than we usually do. We're starting to get a lot more scientific, really teach you what you need to know so that the things that we teach here on the channel are totally comprehended and understood for the long haul. So make sure you comment any questions that you have or videos that you'd like to see with six-pack shortcuts so that I can get back in action, get back in front of the camera to talk to you, to train you up. I'll see you in the next video.